Welcome to part 4 of Julien Pineau, athletic coach, versus Vicky Lee, success coach. Julien is a movement specialist to world-class athletes and featured guest on Barbell Shrugged. Vicky Lee is a success coach to CEOs and Dean's Fellow at Harvard University. Julien's specialty is finding the key log, the one thing that will make or break an athlete. Throughout this 8-video series, Vicky is going to find Julien's key log, the one thing holding him back from unlimited success. In the previous video, Julien learned that he had to balance the dark and light sides of his power. In this video, he learns that he must be bigger than his power. Let's say that this is your gift, your power, your ability to connect to your higher self or source of infinite intelligence. It is this magical force field of energy and light. When you are a child, you delight in it. You are like a puppy running, jumping, and playing inside this magical energy and light. Let's take a snapshot of this. Your power is bigger than you. It outsizes you. If you never grow bigger than your power, one day you will be as schizophrenic as this puppy when it grows up, unable to control its barking, jumping, and excitement every time it anticipates using its power. But when you are a man, you grow bigger than your power. The power stays the same size, but you grow bigger than it. Now you control it, and you don't lose control every time you need to connect to that power. You can sustain a level of intensity and use that power for your own creativity. This is called the power ratio. When you are a child, your power is 100 times bigger than you. When you are a man, you need to be 100 times bigger than your power. Watch in this video how Julien figures out why he was absorbing himself into his power rather than absorbing the power into him.
Okay, so we just talked about giving power to your gift. Every time you give power to your gift, you lose power. And it becomes very easy to get addicted to our power because we think we're doing a good thing.
Yes.
Okay, so for every powerful thing you do, everyone has a different ratio. But I tell you, it's not 1-to-1. So here's my gift, and here's me. Here, I am the ego because I can survive. And my gift is what I'm going to call God, which is not my ego. My gift represents my soul. And if you're addicted to your gift or to your soul or to God, you essentially become a devotee or you live like a monk, which is basically how I live. I'm going to say over here what you should be doing if you really want to help the world. You should be a business person. I'm not helping anybody because I live like a monk. Me and God are happy in our little island somewhere where no one can find us. But you must be part of the world.
So that's the sacrifice.
You have to help people. The whole world lives over here.
Yes.
If you want to help the world, you have to go to the world.
Yeah. I guess, yeah, you're going to skip that one, yeah.
Okay, this is power. And this is love. Okay, why? Okay, power, love is based on need. I need to eat, I need this, I need that. I'm very needy. Power is I don't need anyone or anything. I have no needs, therefore I'm powerful. Okay, the ratio is not 1-to-1. We talked about the yin and the yang. For every unit of power, to balance it off is what, 50 units of love?
Oh, okay. I'm slightly off. Jesus Christ.
Because it's a pyramid, this is the power, and the bottom is love. So what is that, 90-10? What is that? Okay, so to every 1 unit of love, of power, 9 units of love, it takes to ground that little tip. If I have less, this thing's gonna...
Yeah, every single time.
So I have to ground it. I can't have too much power. And what happens is I become an addict to this. I become addicted to, you called it meaning. Everything in my life has to have so much meaning where I'm not motivated to do it.
Well, I guess stuck. Yeah.
This is meaningless stuff. It's like going to the park, hanging out with the dog, feeding my guinea pig, making money. It's no meaning. But it takes all that meaninglessness to ground one small tiny unit of power. Why? If you were to give the full brunt of your power to a world of darkness, it would destroy them. And just because you love people, you would not hurt them. You would only, if I gave you morphine, you would follow it. But if I gave you an aspirin, which is 1/1,000,000th of a morphine, you would live.
Yeah.
I am willing to dumb down, and from my morphine, one little morphine flower, I am willing to make 10 million aspirins and help 10 million people. But that means I have to give up my morphine flower, and I'm in love with it. You have to be willing to give up the thing that you love in order to love others. You have to.
And grow the next one anyway.
Yeah, what are you thinking?
Well, growing the next one, I can give one as long as I can grow a next one. That's all.
So you have a bunch of tips, and you don't have the bottom of the base pyramid.
Yeah. Well,
You like four.
no, I'm looking at it like how imbalanced my life is, and like it makes. But don't get me wrong.
But why have you chosen to live like that?
Because it felt like going there would diminish this, which in a way does.
That's the point.
Exactly. But I looked at it as a negative, not a positive, not a necessity. I looked at it as if I were to do this, the flower would perish, but not turn into aspirin. It would just die off.
So we have Atlas Shrugged. He's holding this big world on his shoulders. And I'm telling Atlas, you're going to get crushed. Then what happens to your beloved world you're holding? It's gonna die. You are the carrier of the gift. Your gift is destroying its vessel. So this guy has to grow bigger.
Yes, otherwise it doesn't help anybody. Oh my God. That makes sense. Refusing to go here. It's not necessarily corrupting this, but not saying that you have to go this way to balance. Honestly, I didn't look at it as a balance.
What did you look at it as?
That was the other part of the balance. To me, that was the selfishness who would, in a way, diminish the size of this. Diminish the size of the gift.
You just watched in this video how Julien discovered that it wasn't enough to balance his power. He also has to outsize it. What he was doing was increasing the size of his power, and in doing so, he decreased the size of himself. He didn't realize he was doing that. He thought that if he empowered his master, he would be empowering himself. But what he found out was that the more powerful his master was, the more powerless he became. That explains a lot. Many of us are victims of our own talent or victims of our own success. And the more talented or successful we become, the more we feel trapped in a life that is defined by our talent or success alone. Our relationship suffers, our health suffers, and our peace of mind suffers. Before Julien embarks on this journey of becoming a victim to his own success, Vicky has a conversation with him, forewarning him that he is headed in the wrong direction. He must serve himself instead of serving his power. He must become master of his own power rather than its slave. Now he understands this, but he doesn't know how to do that. Vicky is trying to get him to do exactly what he asks his athletes to do, which is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. In other words, a world champion athlete has most likely done the same movement the same way for years, thousands of times. So everything in the nature of that athlete wants to perform that movement the same way. And as soon as they get injured, Julien coaches the athlete to go against every grain in his or her anatomy, to fight his or her nature, and do the movement in a completely new way. That's how the athlete breaks through his or her plateau and gets into a higher league. Vicky is trying to get Julien to do something that goes completely against his nature as a Jedi. She's trying to get him to move into a higher league, to go from labeling himself as an obscure movement specialist to a national brand called Strong Fit. Also, to refocus his life path from being a fitness geek 24/7 to being an international traveler, philosopher, business person, father, and guru, to not just Jedis, but also to Spartans and aspiring Spartans all over the world. Watch the next video as Vicky tries to evict Julien from his sacred cave and get him to leave the Shire, just like Frodo Baggins in The Lord of Rings, and begin the trek towards his mountain of darkness, where he will ultimately find his key log.